Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission, and I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones are turned off. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.org site for viewing by the general public. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit applications tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, March 2nd at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, March 17th at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date, and meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. Action taken on the rezoning applications during the public hearing tonight are a recommendation that will be forwarded to the County Commission for another public hearing on Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, at or after 9 a.m. Meetings of the County Commission are held in the same room, and the decision of the County Commission will be final. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? At this time, the Planning Commission will consider the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are perceived to be non-controversial and meet all of the requirements of the codes and regulations. The consent agenda will be acted on in one motion with no public hearing on the items unless a member of the public, the commission, or staff requests that item be removed from the consent agenda. The minutes from the January 27th meeting are included in the consent agenda. Does any Planning Commission member wish to have an item removed for discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to have item 3 held out for a moment.
Next, I will read each item on the consent agenda and ask if there are any issues or comments from the staff or the audience. If any member of the staff or the audience would like to be heard on any of those items, please raise your hand and the item will be moved to the regular agenda to allow you to address the commission later in the meeting. Any other items remaining on the consent agenda will be approved by the Planning Commission with the conditions recommended by staff. Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes of the January 27th, 2020 meeting. Item number 2 is conditional use permit 20-05 to allow RV storage units on the property legally described as Lot 1, Block 3, Brower 2nd Edition, Southwest Quarter, Section 27, Township 102 North, Range 51 West. The petitioner is John and Matt Morris. They're also the property owners. The location is approximately a half a mile south of Hartford. Okay, item number 3 has been asked to be removed to the regular agenda. Item number 4 is conditional use permit 20-07 to make 1 building eligibility available on the property legally described as the Northwest Quarter, in parentheses, except the north half, the Northwest Quarter, and except Tract 1, Carpenter's Addition, and in parentheses, Section 7, Township 102 North, Range 48 West. Petitioners, Matthew Swatwart, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. Chuck Sutton Auctioneers. Property owner is Terry Carpenter. This is located approximately 5 miles northwest of Brandon. You wish to speak to this item? Yes. Okay. We will remove item number 4 to the regular agenda. Item number 5 is a conditional use permit, 20-08, to expand the existing amusement and recreation facility to allow roller coaster on the property legally described as the east half, the northwest quarter, the southeast quarter, and the northeast quarter, the southeast quarter, exception H-1, and except track 1, Albine's addition, that's the end of the parentheses, section 36, township 101 north, range 51 west. Petitioner is Francis D. Phillips. He is the president of Wildwater West Water Park LTD. He's also the property owner. This is located 3 miles west of Sioux Falls. You wish to address this item too, sir? Okay, so item number 5 also needs to be removed to the regular agenda. So I will need a motion to approve item number 1, number 2,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. If your item has been approved, you are free to go. Otherwise, we will start with item number 3.
Madam
Scott?
Chair, I don't know that we need to do the full presentation, but there's a letter in the packet that was written to the applicant, and I'd like to know what the applicant's plan is on this.
Scott, you want to address that?
Sure. Scott Anderson, Planning Director, and for those in the audience and for those that might be seeing this as a recast on television, this is a request to allow a larger building. The applicant is limited to 3,600 square feet of total accessory structures, and he's requesting 16,092 square feet. The applicant is wanting to build a new building which is 60 feet wide and 136 feet long, and there's a site plan, and I'll show you that. But this is basically at the Renner Corner, just north of the Renner Corner, and it's on Highway 133, which is just runs north off of 258th Street. There has been a property, there's a zoning violation, and I think this gets to Commissioner Barth's question. There has been a zoning violation on the property. The property owner moved a 12-foot by 24-foot structure onto the property without obtaining a building permit. And in your packet, you'll notice that we sent several letters. The most recent was back in January, which was letter number 5, indicating that he needed to come in and do something with that zoning violation. And I actually then talked to him in person and explained that he needed to get a building permit, even if it was a moved-on building. He told me that he had never received any of the letters that we had sent, which we didn't get him back in the mail, so I don't know where they went. But he indicated to me that he would have the building moved off, and I told him that he would need to have the building demolished or removed by next Monday at 5 p.m., which is our deadline for an appeal. Otherwise, I would appeal the item myself, and we would go to the county commission, and that we would have a discussion on the illegal building that's out there. So the way that the conditional use permit is written is I have included a condition, so it's in black and white for the applicant, indicating that, which is condition number 8, that the 12-foot by 24-foot accessory structure moved onto the property without a building permit is to be removed by March 2nd, 2020, which is next Monday. So what I'll do is go out on Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock, and see if it's there, or sometime in the afternoon. But I'd be glad to answer any questions, and I'm not sure how we're moving this. So this is the subject property, and you can see the Renner Corner. So basically across the street is the storage units, and there's more storage units to the south. So there are no pictures on? Okay, so, sorry. You can see on the property where he is proposing to build the larger building, it's along the shelter belt to the south. Here's a copy of, or basically a schematic of what the building's gonna look like. The proposed building, it's basically a Morton building. And this is the existing house. This is the storage units across the street. This is looking north. This is the site where the property, where the building is gonna go. And this is looking straight south where the where the building is gonna go. So I would be glad to answer any questions that you have. You can see there are several buildings on the property, and that's why we come up with a large area of square footage of buildings, because there's a lot of buildings. It is a larger lot. It's almost 30 acres, and he has an agricultural business that is a venture that is going on that property. Any questions?
You fully aware that that building has to be removed by the date?
Yes, I talked to him in
Okay,
person.
okay.
And gave him the date, and he understood that, because the way the conversation came about was that 12, I asked him, I said, so are you going to get a building permit? Because that 12 by 24-foot building was not included in that square footage. And I said, if you haven't included that, we're gonna need to increase the amount of square footage that you're requesting, so it all comes up, so it all adds up. And he said, well, I don't wanna mess with that, I'll just remove it. I said, that's fine, that is your option. You either need to remove it or get the building permit, and we do the notice correctly, because I wanted it done correctly. And he said he would remove it.
So Scott, so he does remove it, wherever he relocates it at, it's gonna be a violation there then too,
He can
right?
get a building permit. I mean, wherever he wants to move it to, they get a
Okay.
building permit.
All right,
Or he demolishes it.
okay.
Or he moves it out of the county.
Or he could leave it there and get a permit.
He could, but then we're gonna have to rework this request. And I don't know if he's here tonight. He also knows there's several places that, in our application process, that we tell them they need to be here present, so.
Jeff, did he answer your questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Becky?
And correct me if I misheard, Scott, but I thought I heard you say that there was an egg business going on or something, but in item number 6, we have written that the use of the accessory structure is for private use and storage. So I guess I need some clarification.
It's private use for, it's not for commercial use. It would still be considered an ag use or a personal use. And I have a copy. There's that Hydro Green is the business that is operating out of there. So it will still be in compliance with that condition.
Okay.
Did you also say that the petitioner is not here?
I don't believe he's here. I've never met him, but I've been asking in the audience, and we can ask, is Mr.
Is the
Gross?
petitioner here?
Mr. Gross here?
He's not here.
No.
Madam Chair, I don't think we should approve this at this time. He's not answering his letters, he's not taken the action we've requested yet, and if it's delayed a month, it still will be winter. And so he won't lose that much time if he then comes forward again. So can we defer it for a
Yeah,
month?
you can continue it until the March meeting. I don't have the date
I'd
exactly.
make a motion to defer till the March meeting.
I second.
A motion made and seconded to defer item number 3.
Public
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. So it'll be
Madam
deferred till next
Chairman,
month.
you need to ask, before you take, you're gonna need to ask for if there's any public input.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this item? You need to come up to the podium, sir. Okay. Do I have to redo the motion again?
Here, I make a motion to defer till the March Planning and Zoning meeting.
I second.
Okay, a motion's made and seconded to defer item number 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So item number 3 will defer to the March meeting. Item number 4. Kevin?
No, it doesn't.
Kevin Hookman, County Planning Department. Item number 4 is conditional use permit number 2007 to make a building eligibility available on this property described earlier. Let's see. There's my map. The property is located approximately 5 miles northwest of Brandon. It's a 134 acre property that had 3 building eligibilities at one time. And they have been utilized on the property, and this is the last remaining eligibility on the property. The petitioner has submitted a site plan showing that the building eligibility was to be built along, I don't have it in the PowerPoint, built along 257th Street, or have a property there similar to the one that's in the corner of that's already there. Moving it closer to that road, 257th Street, will keep the remaining land agricultural production. That's going to be a larger chunk of the property. And the property owner recently sold one lot off this quarter section, and this will be the kind of the last lot that will be in the row. The conditional use permit criteria to go over for all conditional use permits, it would be the effect upon the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity for uses already permitted, and upon property values in the immediate vicinity. As you can see, the property is mostly ag. It'll continue to be mostly ag, but there is also residential acreages throughout the area and scattered, and this will join with those. So it's not likely to affect the uses already permitted. Number 2, that the effect upon normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding vacant properties for uses predominant in the area. Again, this is just a continuation of the uses in the area, and it's not likely going to be changing, as it is 5 miles from either Brandon or Sioux Falls. Number 3, that utilities, access road, drainage, or other necessary facilities are provided. The petitioner will have to extend any utilities and get the driveway permit as needed for the any new properties that will be formed. Number 4, that off-street parking and loading requirements are met. That'll be met when the dwelling is built. Number 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration and lighting, inclusive of light of signs, so that none of these will be constitute nuisance. As this is a residential structure or residential building eligibility, if this was to become a residence, they'll have to follow the public nuisance ordinance, as well as generally speaking, residential uses aren't very nuisance prone. And then number 6, that health, safety, and general welfare of the public and the comprehensive plan. This does cluster eligibilities into one area, as the Envision 2035 plan encourages, and the health, safety, and general welfare of the public will not be negatively affected. Staff does recommend approval for this conditional use permit number 2007, with one condition, that a right to farm notice covenant shall be placed in the deed prior to the issuance of the building permit for a single-family dwelling. So I guess this is a pretty common permit for this body here, the Planning Commission. So if there's any questions, you can ask them.
Oh, Madam Chair, is there 2 building eligible, 2 on this map? It's hard to see on this map up there. Is that 2 of them, and then one in the corner at the intersection, the 3rd one?
I'll see if I can grab it. All right. So hopefully my pointer is visible enough. So the eligibility, the newest one that was just sold off is right here.
Okay.
And there is a house under construction. I suppose I can show you the few pictures of it. It's snow. And then there's the two houses, two properties right here and here that make up the other two from the, so this is the last of the four of the quarter section. And like I said, I suppose I could show you photos of snow, trees, and the neighboring properties. And there's the new house. I guess that would be the only change from what's on the map.
So I was just wondering, it's kind of hard to see on our map, I guess.
Sure.
So,
Any other questions for Kevin? Is the petitioner here? You please come forward, state your name.
Terry Carpenter. Terry Carpenter,
Okay. Your address, please, sir.
Crooks, South Dakota, 47052, 256th Street, Crooks.
Any questions for him, commissioners? Not at this time, thank you. There was someone here in the audience that wishes to speak to this item. Will you please come forward, state your name and address?
My name is Matt Mueller. My address is 47871 257th Street. And I was just curious about the building eligibility. If you could, can I go back?
Map? or-
Right. The subject property is not where the arrow is pointing, is that correct? It'll be up against a road, is that correct? Because what that arrow is indicating?
right here.
The plan is for right there?
Yep.
Okay, and is this for a building eligibility or a housing eligibility?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Okay, so there's only one thing that's gonna be put on that property, as far as either a house or a building of some sort?
Would be a house.
It would be a house. Okay, okay. That was my question. I just didn't know if there was some other building gonna be put there, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
They have to have a house before they can have any accessory structures.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There won't be a fertilizer plant. Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Motion's made to approve conditional use permit 20-07. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5.
Good evening, Planning Commission. David Heinold, County Planning Department. Skip forward here. So item number 5, conditional use permit 2020-08 to expand existing amusement park and recreation facilities to a roller coaster. This property is located at 26767 466th Avenue. It is about 3 miles west of Sioux Falls. The location map, as you can see here, it's also known as Wildwater West. It's located just south of the intersection of two county highways, which was formerly the state highway. There's a gas station here on the corner here, and there's also another warehouse type building on that corner. And Wildwater West property here, as you see, the applicant's request is for the about 55 acre parcel that encompasses the entire, it's an existing water park and commercial recreation facility. There's also, just pointing out some of the other things in the area uses, there's a couple of commercial event center buildings south of this, just across the field there, and then there's also another business as well. Photography business. Just going through some of the other uses in the area, you've got some of the existing residential to the east of the highway, and then there's also some drainage that runs through there. The property itself already contains a variety of different water and dry land activities for guests, and this is a lot of different uses. The so staff visited the site on February 1st and viewed the proposed location for the roller coaster, which is the addition to the existing recreation facility and amusement park. The site plan, as you'll see, I'll skip forward to the next slide. You'll see the proposed location for the roller coaster would be just south of what is the wave pool. And there's also a concrete area for some cabanas. And then you see the pond there to the south. And then you'll see the go-kart track, which is over here. And then this is where the main water tower slide area is on the property, which staff took pictures from the top of that water tower towards the location of the proposed roller coaster. The tallest point on the roller coaster would be 113 feet. The water tower, or water slide tower, is at about 65 feet in height at the tallest point. So just going through some of the images that the applicant has provided, this is potentially what it could look like, is what they provided. Just some of the dimensions on there that they provided in the application. So this is looking from so not the top of the tower, so just a little bit lower than the 65 feet. As you can see off to the right of the image, there's the water slide that goes towards a kind of a bowl on the property. And so if I skip the next slide, this will show the top of the tower. So you're at 65, about that 65 feet. You can see kind of right in this area, you see where those umbrellas are, and then you see the pond. That's where the roller coaster would be, just beyond those evergreen trees there. So just going through the next slide, this is looking from the main entrance to the water park. As you can see the slides there. The top of that tower is right there, is where I was standing in that last picture. Just going through some of the pictures, the applicant has a parking lot for the existing water park and the other activities that exist. This consists of an asphalt area, and there's also some gravel areas. This is actually grass. And then you can see there's a amphitheater that was just permitted a couple of years ago. In the background you see. And then just moving forward, this is looking straight to the north, towards that tree line. And then again, more parking areas back towards the highway off to the east back towards the east. This is another image just looking from showing the top of this is the corner where the grass area begins and between the buildings. So just looking again for perspective. And then this is looking from the main entrance to the water park and parking area there, the slides, and then off in the distance. And then this is showing that this is a gravel parking area just off the main entrance, so more additional parking there on that property. Showing the county highway, which is the approach, the access to the site, just the one driveway. Looking off to the north up the hill towards the intersection of what is also the 267th Street, or the county highway. And then this is looking south on the county highway towards Lincoln County and some of the other businesses, the commercial businesses to the right. And then you have the residential to the left of the image. And this is looking towards the existing Country Acres residential home subdivision. Just going through, I did drive through the subdivision as well, just to kind of give a perspective of the water towers, the existing water towers and slides on the adjacent property. You can kind of see it a little bit off in the distance. This one doesn't really show. And then this is looking on the county highway from the Lincoln County line. You can see the trees off in the distance. Sorry, the image isn't quite as full. In full screen mode you can see it, but you can kind of see that off in the distance. So just going through some of the conditional use permit criteria, Briefly, the effect upon the use and enjoyment of upon the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses already permitted, upon property values in the immediate vicinity. This has been an amusement park and recreation facility for just about 40 years or so, and has evolved throughout the years through additional conditional use permits for different activities that have occurred. The addition of a roller coaster may attract more people to the amusement facility, which brings more concerns related to things like traffic and noise impact to neighboring properties. The applicant has provided a narrative to the Planning Commission describing their plan for those types of issues, which they can clarify on. The general operation of an amusement park brings noise accompanying such a use, but should not be at a level much different than the existing water park that is currently there today. The effect upon the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area. This isn't a use that's actually spelled out specifically in the conditional use section, but it does, a recreation facility is what it would be considered as, and it's similar to other types of commercial recreational uses that are allowed by a conditional use permit. So the predominant land use among the surrounding properties is agricultural. As I mentioned, there are those other uses such as commercial and residential. And so much of the area is dependent upon the use of building eligibilities over the next 20-year planning horizon beyond. The further expansion of the amusement park and commercial recreation facility should not negatively affect the normal and orderly development of surrounding vacant property. 3, that utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities are provided. The location of the amusement park and commercial recreation facility is along 2 county highways, which provides access to the surrounding areas. And so the existing facility utilizes an on-site drainage, so there's a creek that kind of runs through there for managing stormwater runoff. The applicant already has the on-site facilities, as you saw in the pictures of the tour of the site. You can see where that tree line was for the operation of an amusement park. 4, that the off-street parking and loading requirements are met. The petitioner already supplies enough parking for the multitude of different uses that occur on the property. I think in calculating about approximately 25 acres and accommodated about 3,000 parking spaces for including all the driving aisles and everything for the particular use, which meets the minimum parking requirements for the zoning ordinance. 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and lighting, inclusive of lighted signs, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. Staff recognizes that noise or vibration will result from the operation of a roller coaster and should be mitigated to prevent nuisances from occurring off-site. And the applicant has laid out in the narrative the plan for mitigating those types of issues that come up. Applicant has not included any plans for signage. Those have to meet the zoning ordinance as well. 6, that the health, safety, general welfare of the public in the comprehensive plan. This property is located just outside of the transition area. It is identified by the Envision 2035 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. Goal number 5 of the comprehensive plan states to support the orderly development and improvement of non-agricultural land uses. The result of this goal is to support development around rural service areas and intersections that are dedicated, delineated on the land use map, and compatible with existing land uses. The proposed roller coaster is compatible with the existing water park and surrounding commercial land uses. The amusement park is located about 1/2 mile from the intersection of 2 county highways and the rural service area. So staff finds that the proposed use for a roller coaster addition to the existing amusement park and recreation facility meets the intent of the zoning ordinance and conforms to the goals of the Envision 2035 Comprehensive Plan. So staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit 20-08 with the following conditions. There are 9 conditions, and I can read them if you would like me to. If you have any questions.
Any questions for David? Guess not at this time. Is the petitioner here? Will you please come forward, sir, and state your name and address?
My name is Francis Phillips, GM of Wildwater West, 1700 South Carter Place, Sioux Falls.
Any questions for him, commissioners? Yeah.
Madam Chair, I appreciate you being here. Mr. Phillips, have you guys met with the neighbors at all about this?
No.
Okay, just asking.
I have met with Kurt Mattson up at Pump and Pack, who runs a gas station up in the corner.
Right.
Because he is the northern landowner that I have there, and he's fine with that.
Super.
Any other questions? Thank you. We may ask you back. I think there was somebody here in the audience that wanted to speak to this item. Will you please come forward and state your name and address?
Madam Chair, my name is Tim Medill, 26785 Country Acre Drive, a Country Acre development. I don't know, I've never done this before, so bear with me. My I don't know, sir, can you get a larger of that to include the development? My property would be right here, which would be directly east of the proposed roller coaster. And my concerns are three things: sight lines, noise, and property values. From my deck, you know, the water slide, it's there, it's fine, it's 63 feet. You're asking to put a structure there that's 40 feet taller, which would go above my tree line. I'm just concerned as far as property value when I do, if it ever comes up to sell the property, if a question would come up concerning that the roller coaster. And to address the noise, I read the petition, and it's supposed to be, state-of-the-art, quiet roller coaster. But the noise is the people. Right now, there's music, and of course, people with screams and such. And it's acceptable right now. But what you're going to do is you're going to add more people to that, which adds more noise. Right now, it's fine. Right now, I mean, I'm fine with the way things are right now. But I just feel that adding another attraction is going to bring in more people. The parking, that lot is always full when it's on a warm day, and so their parking lot is full. Traffic, there's always concerns about people leaving the water park, making sure people are stopping and such for cross traffic. It's just that I've never done this, and I just feel it's something I had to say. I don't know, there's probably 5 other people in this development that were given the same letter, but I feel if nobody shows up, it's going to go through. And I just wanted to let you know that I don't feel comfortable with the sight line and the noise and property value. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other person in the audience that would like to speak to this item?
Madam Chair, could I ask Mr. Phillips to come back?
Sure. Mr. Phillips, will you please come back? Can you address maybe any of those items this person was concerned with?
Well, the site that we chose on the western end of the property was chosen basically for that reason. It's good soil for what we're doing, number one. But number two, originally we were going to put this maybe a little more visible off closer to Highway 17. But we chose to put this basically on the west side or the other side of our slide tower to potentially mitigate any issues. for that. So if you look at where this thing is, if you go back to, well, how can we get back to that?
Could you use the cursor and show us where the water slide is now, and then use the cursor
Go
to
back
show
that
where?
other- The previous picture, how do I do that? Right here is what I want, right there, I guess. There we go.
Okay, that doesn't show the neighbor's property, though.
Well, it doesn't, yeah. Well, the neighbor's property, of course, we are, I don't know how to get to the neighbor's property, I guess.
So
It's gonna be like right here.
that's,
So there, wherever the water slide is, it's right, wherever the pond is, it'll be directly north of that pond, which is well within side the property that we've got.
well,
We're
then the
putting this
place
thing,
you're looking for the roller coaster is to the left of that, to the west.
see the pond right where the arrow is,
Gonna be
showing where
straight
the
north
pond
of
is.
the
There's the
pond.
pond. Right,
Okay.
right at that pond level. So
that's
you're,
what I
you're
was
well
wondering.
within the property line.
Oh, yeah, I just wondered where it was relative to the
Right.
highway.
Number
and stuff.
two, the design, there are lots of roller coasters out there. Of course, the last one you want is the wood roller coaster. That is a roller coaster you'd hear from 4 miles away, clanging and banging and all of that. This particular coaster that we chose is a very benign coaster, really. It's, in the coaster world, this is medium to medium small as far as coasters go. So when we did our feasibility study and looking at this potential, this is a roller coaster that a park like ours, basically a family park, we're a regional attraction. Is what we are. Started out, as a local attraction. Now we're a regional attraction. So, sometimes slow and steady wins the race. So I've been the general manager there now for 30 years. And I believe that we've been good neighbors to everybody there. All of our neighbors that we have, we watch all things, safety, of course, being number one. But like I said, go back to what I originally said. The location that we chose, which is right directly north of that pond as well, is basically in the center west of our property. So I thought it was a great location, staying far enough away from everybody. As far as noise go and vibration, this monorail system coaster really is a new age of coaster and very streamlined and makes virtually no noise. The go-karts that we have, you see that, well, wherever the go-kart track was here, the go-karts are probably, that go-kart track there to the bottom right of your screen that you see, the go-karts will make twice as much noise as the roller coaster. The roller coaster virtually makes no noise. So if you're driving by our property, or even in our parking lot, the only thing that you really hear are the go-karts going around the track. This roller coaster will have virtually no noise, no vibration, no anything. And it was chosen for that. Like I say, there are 10 different variations of roller coasters that we could have chosen. And we figured this would be the best for us, for the neighborhood, less obtrusive. To us, it's a perfect fit and a perfect addition. Now, when you're talking about parking, our average attendance is anywhere from 12 to 1,500 patrons a day. We have about 104, 105 day operating season. We do roughly 150,000 a summer, depending on weather. So you're looking at about, 1,500 people a day.
Well, Mr.
Adequate
Phillips, I
parking.
think you answered my question as to where exactly the coaster would be relative to the neighbor's property, and I think unless there's other issues we need to bring up.
Madam Chair, I have a
Becky?
question. So, when the roller coaster is climbing, and it hasn't started its descent, is it climbing towards the west?
It's climbing toward the west. It's climbing away from 17,
Okay, so away,
which is deeper into our own property, yeah.
so it will be climbing away from the residential
Correct.
district.
Any other questions for him? Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to address this item? I'm going to close the floor. Commissioners?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Mike?
You know, I appreciate Tim's concern with sightlines and noise. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, I think one of the points of this body is to ensure that growth is smart the way it goes. What I'm saying is, we're not putting a roller coaster on a greenfield site right next to a new neighborhood. You know, this amusement park exists, and a lot of those noise concerns, I think, are already probably a component of that facility. I guess with that said, I guess I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
That's with the conditions as staff recommended.
Correct.
Okay, a motion's made and seconded to approve conditional use permit 20-08. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Move on to the regular agenda. Rezoning 20-01 to rezone from A1 Agricultural District to the C Commercial District.
Kevin Hookman again, County Planning Department. Item number 6 is a rezoning, number 2001. And this item has not read the whole legal description, so I'll give it a try here. Described as the south half, the southeast quarter, except tracks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and except north 291, and except north 291, east 150, south 724 feet, west 483 feet, the southeast quarter, and except the west 333 feet, not including the south 433 feet, southeast quarter, and except the east 159.15 feet, not including the south 433 feet, except Eggers Addition of the southwest quarter, southeast quarter, section 9, township 102 north, range 49 west. Petitioner is Sorum Holdings. And I'll bring up a map. And it's located roughly at the intersection of Highway 115, South Dakota Highway 115, and County Highway 130. It's a little bit to the west. It's also known, it's a little bit to the west of Renner Corner, as it's the name of the gas station that's located at the corner. And the petitioner has stated that the proposed rezoning will allow commercial development and expansion of the uses currently used at the Renner Corner. Petitioner has submitted a site sketch plan that shows a possible layout of lots and possible road configuration. Staff will note that that the petitioner will have to get a preliminary plan before finalizing a lot layout like this, and that the County Highway Department and the South Dakota DOT must approve any access onto the highways since there's roads that are planned for the development. And I will start with continue with a little bit of concerns, I guess, that staff has about the development. And note that many of these concerns can be alleviated through kind of the ongoing process of permitting, such as the preliminary subdivision plan and any future conditional use permit plans that might come up through the development. One of them is that there is an island that's an apartment complex right here that will become an island surrounded by commercial use if this is approved. Along with that, similarly, there are residential uses here, and to the north that would be directly abutting the commercial use. typically, we'd like to see a little bit of buffer between uses. This would, like I said, if there is conditional use permitting, we could require, say, future landscaping through here, but that would all depend on what the petitioner plans on putting in those lots. Let's see, with the 6 residential uses up here, staff has recommended has commented in the staff report, perhaps the south 600 feet, like the petitioner could revise the plan to rezone only part of the property, and staff suggests that the south 600 feet would reach up to approximately there. As you can see, this plan made a mini map, which would give the petitioner commercial development and remove it from much of the single-family dwelling residential properties in the north side of the property. Other concerns are kind of other things that should be brought up to the Planning Commission is that the FEMA is doing ongoing mapping updates, and this area will be part of future mapping updates, including this property is planned for showing that the floodplain encroaches onto this property, and this would be the 100-year floodplain. This is a map that I couldn't bring in the website, so it was kind of a copy and paste. So this isn't perfect map, but you can see an outline of this blue area is where the floodplain will be on the property. And the petitioner should be aware of this for when it comes time to build a building permit, that the building is raised to any future floodplain height. So future, say, property owners or future expansions to a building does not run into issues that are incompliant with the floodplain ordinance. So make sure that that is known to the petitioner and to the Planning Commission. But considering the couple concerns that staff has raised in the report, generally speaking, like I said, there's going to be other petitions and processes going forward. And this area is designated as a half-mile rural service area in the Envision 2035 plan, being that this is designated appropriate for a limited commercial development up to a half-mile from the intersection. This area is also in the Renner Sanitary Sewer District. The petitioner would have to work with the Renner Sanitary Sewer District, but that would be better for the growth of a new subdivision than to have, say, a small on-site wastewater management within a floodplain area for each building. So I'll go over the pictures here a little bit more in depth before So this is looking to the property from the south. You can see the residential uses, and there's kind of a little farm type operation right at the north end of the property here. And this is looking to the north, or it's looking to the east of the property, the apartment complex right here. And then the Renner Corner is just beyond that. Oops, wrong way. And then this is looking to the northwest with the farmstead, the lower density residential. And then further to the west is the Renner Lutheran Church. All right, and then this is looking from the kind of middle portion of the property, looking to the west. And move the right direction. To the northwest, to the north, this is the residential properties along the highway. And then finally, this is the apartment complex again. So, staff finds that this is, follow the Envision 2035 plan, and, you can take the comments that staff has made in the staff report and at this, as I shared with you tonight. We do recommend approval of rezoning 2001 to rezone the property from A1 agricultural to C commercial, and I'll take any questions.
Commissioners? Not at this time. Is the petitioner here? Come forward and state your name and address.
James Sorum, 3208 East 33rd Street, Sioux Falls.
Any questions for him?
Madam Chair?
Jeff?
Mr. Sorum, I appreciate, I know this area fairly well, and I do have grave concerns about flooding going on there. In fact, I wish that the whole village of Renner would move the other side of Highway 115. So that when we build more stuff there and if you build up the land, it just squeezes the river into a smaller area, which backs it upriver, et cetera. I just really worried about that. Floods aren't getting smaller.
Yeah, I agree. But so that's on that flood map, when is that going to affect?
Next rain? I don't know. I mean.
No, but it was a proposal for the 100-year flood was.
Yeah.
But it's eventually going to be a flood.
I'm not sure,
flood
but
zone?
I don't care what FEMA says. I just know what water does. And
Yeah.
I used to live in the Quad Cities where the Mississippi River would flood, and Rock Island would build their wall up higher, and then Davenport would build their wall up higher, and they'd go up, and meanwhile, north of the river would back up, flooding all kinds of farmland. I mean, you shouldn't build in the floodplain, and I think that's my worry.
Well, it's yet to get any water there yet, but yeah, who's to know in the future? I don't know.
Yeah.
Any other questions for him? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak to this item? Please come forward. State your name and address, one at a time.
Hi, Priscilla Green, 25781 475th Avenue, Renner.
Couldn't hear
Our
that.
property is located.
Ma'am, could you try to speak into the mic, please?
Yep. 25781 475th Avenue, Renner. Priscilla Green. Okay, our family property is located north, the farthest north property there, at the very, I would say, right corner. Yep. Yeah, so it's located right there is where it's located. So if you notice, there is a creek right here as well. And there is culverts where drainage rundowns come from other properties up there. We did experience some drainage problems for the first time in March 13th, where these drainages got blocked. All the water flowed here. This got flooded immensely where there was white caps. That's how much water was there. So our concern is if they build up, our property is gonna be gone. Because there's already problems now with sewer backup, water problems, so it's a main concern for us. As well as we're not really sure what they're building. Nobody is telling us anything. Nobody's communicating with us or letting us know. We just get this letter and we hear commercial, possibly apartments, possibly additional businesses. We don't know. It's never been addressed to us. So we have a few concerns. If they can legitimately prove to us like this would work, we're open to that as well. But right now we're still experiencing problems. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Have a basement? Is your house
The
have a
properties
basement? Yeah.
around there do. There are several properties next to us. Ours had a crawl space and it did sink. My mother knows the approximate feet, but it's pretty much right down to the ground. It's pretty soggy still. Even over the winter's time, it still has not dried out. The neighbors next to us, yes, the water went in there and ruined their basements. They had to remodel, so thank you.
I think I saw some other hands in the back there.
Good evening. I'll try to keep it short. Nancy Rasmussen. I live at that house, 25781 475th Avenue. March 13th, culverts blocked. The water from the creek on the east side of the highway, due to culverts being frozen, flooded my house totally out. I did have a crawl space, if you're old enough to know what a crawl space is in your house. I don't have it anymore, it's full. My house sunk 5 inches. That whole area where the creek was in the we call it the Longhorn Field, it's the Hofer property, the cattle farm, that flooded. Not only did the flood come through all the properties, there were 5 properties. One guy lost his total house, nothing left. The whole inside fell straight down. He had a basement. Neighbor beside me has a basement. He's working at about $70,000 to repair it. 2 people across the street had basements. One is at almost $100,000 to redo the block on her basement due to the water. We feel that if there's going to be any kind of commercial businesses put in that property at all, where those 5 houses on Highway 115 are 5 homes, 4 now since Jim lost his, it's gonna make it even worse. I mean, I need to redo my house, but I put it on hold because of this. I don't have the money. FEMA's still working in the area. They didn't give me no money. They give me rental assistance if I want to move out. I've lived there since I was 28. I don't want to move. I like the country life. I don't want no apartment buildings. I don't want no bars. I feel that the flood, if they build there, that the water, where's it going to go? It can't get through to the river unless they put a drainage in there. The sewer that goes behind our house is in the alleyway, the leeway for fire department. The sewers are over 100 years old, I think. We're working on them now to repair and fix. And the noise, if they put apartments, I would like to know what kind of business is going there, where it's going to go. Why we're just right where the renter apartments are, why is it just mentioned there and on each side and north, but not our 5 houses along the highway? We were extremely damaged by that flood. It ruined my house. My house is now full of mold, and I work constantly trying to get that crap out of my house due to floodwaters. And if I have to tolerate noise, if it's housing apartments, I don't want no housing apartment. I look out across the field to look at the field and to see the sunset. Apartment buildings go up there, I'm not gonna see nothing but an apartment building. And I'm just, it's offensive to me that any kind of business wants to come behind my house. I know we have to have progress, but what are you gonna put there? And it flooded. The water level is still up. Sure, it went down 2 feet in December, but it's back up again. I had the water flow chart for renter I should have brought to you. The water never goes down there. I have a well on my property, a deep well. It's always full right up to the top, and it's a 25-foot well. It's always full. And the sewers, that's something they gotta take up with the sewer, but the property value of my house from the flood has already went down. If they put apartment buildings there, might as well demolish my house. It's not gonna be worth a thing. So that's all I have to say. I don't want no housing apartments or any kind of apartments built behind my house. Maybe after I'm dead, then they can, but for right now, I don't want it there. So I could go on, I've got a list, but that's the main issue for me. Thank you.
So I'll clarify for the planning commission and the audience. The proposed property is rezoned to C commercial, and apartment complexes would not be a permitted use within that zoning district. So there would be no apartment units, it would be commercial uses.
Thanks, Scott.
My name is Sheila Freed. I live at 47487 258th Street. So my house is just across the street to the south. And my concern is I agree with the others that we looked across and it looked like a lake when it flooded. And honestly, there were whitecaps. And so I do have a concern of what's going to happen with that usage there. Depending on what the usage is, I have concerns of traffic, increased traffic, and property values. Right now, we're in a residential area, so if it's commercial, what kind of commercial does that mean, and how does that affect us, and how does it affect the people around us? We have a community right now, and so that's what we would like to keep, and so it really depends on what goes in there, how that is affected. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this item?
Harold Dollars, 25703 Packard Lane. Could one of you just, it would really help us, what C commercial mean? And is that ag commercial at all or not? So like hog confinements, anything like that go in there? Could you just help us? I think that would help a lot.
So C commercial in the rural area is general commercial. So typically speaking, permitted special uses would be retail, warehousing type things, less than 10,000 square feet in size for a building. Service works, but it's still going to be all mostly confined to that 10,000 square foot building size. Many more uses are allowed in commercial, but does require a conditional use permit to allow other uses such as a bar, or I'm just trying to think of some of the other uses.
Storage facility?
Storage facilities would require a conditional use permit, that sort of thing. So, yes, there are uses that are allowed as permitted or permitted special where they can, if they meet some small standards, they could do it, but the vast majority of uses do require a conditional use permit. So they would have to come back here to describe what they're doing. Does that help?
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to this item? Petitioner, will you please come back up here? You want to address any of this?
Yeah, so
Okay.
only thing we really don't have anything planned at all, really, right now. The only thing that this land been in our family for years and years. So my grandmother passed away, went down to their siblings. Their siblings wanted to sell it. So we want to make sure we keep it in the family. But we're thinking, well, we're not farmers, so the only way to go would be to zone it commercial. As far as apartments, no, we're not doing anything like that. If anything, we put a retail, or actually an office space somewhere. We don't know exactly what the plans would be, but we have some tenants that rent from us now. They want their own building. So that's an option that we would do, just an office space. And then if we expand our jerky and sausage products at the Renner Corner, we would want a building basically strictly for doing the jerky and sausage and the packaging, all of that. Not slaughter, nothing like that. And then the rest, there's like 2 acres we would offer for sale to the homeowner on the west side of the property. We'd be right to the south of his property. And that's the only thing we really know. As far as the flooding, on the east side of 115, right, they were saying that the culverts were plugged from ice or whatever. I don't know if that's Department of Transportation or whoever's fault it was. But the water drainage is supposed to go south or either west in that ditch or to the north of the property. So I don't know what the flow, even if we were to build it up, if it would even affect anything going east. If anything, it would affect the west, be my opinion. But I'm not an engineer, so.
Any other questions for him? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to address this item? Please come forward. State your name again, please, and your address.
Nancy Rasmussen, 25781 475th Avenue. If there is any kind of commercial land built on that property at all, and they can build it up, where's the water gonna go? Here's my house, they have their land built up high like this, where's the water gonna go? It'll go on my house. You can't build that property up, it keeps sinking, it's sand underneath there. It's a proven fact, granted on the east side, sand on the west side of Highway 115. You can't build it up. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address this item? I'm going to close the floor. Commissioners?
Madam Chair, I know that hydrology seems to be more and more involved in things that we do. And I know the Renner Sanitary District has amazing issues. I just am not confident enough in where things are going water-wise in this area to allow this to go forward. And I wait to hear what the others might say, but I probably will vote against allowing this.
Commissioners, any other comments?
Madam Chair, I'd just kind of like to echo exactly what Jeff stated, because I know that is a rural area that floods quite easily and frequently. So I think I will right now say that I would be declining to vote for it.
Madam Chair,
Becky?
they have summarized it well. I'm really concerned about the flooding issues, and I'm familiar with that property, and it's already low and wet now. So at this point, I'm not comfortable approving. Thank you.
Adam?
So what I thought about when I read the material was, the flooding was come to mind, I guess.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to deny this zoning 20-01.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion is made and seconded to deny rezoning 20-01. All those in favor of that denial?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any old business, Scott?
Just a couple of items. In your packet of information, I provided you sort of a year-end summary for 2019, and there's a recap there. You will notice that the volume of building permits and the revenue generated through building permits were down about 15% from the year before, and some of that can be attributed to, in 2018, we had a product called Change Finder, which was our aerial photography supplier or vendor, basically compares the 2014 to the 2018 imagery, and then runs you a list of new structures, and we were able to cross-check what didn't have building permits, and as a result of that, there were quite a few more permits issued in 2018. That's part of it. Part of it is economically driven as well, I believe. But anyway, this is just for your information, sort of gives you a recap of what we've done. So that's under old business, just sort of a recap. And then under new business, Madam Chairman, if you would like me to go on, I just wanted to give you, you may have been following this in the news, Senate Bill 157. We've been working closely with our lobbyists through the state, and I've had several representatives from the state contact me soliciting my opinion on the bill. This basically, and we worked with the state's attorney, and we met with the county commissioners. They've gone out there, or Cindy Heiberger went out and testified on behalf of the county, I believe on this. So basically what this does is sets up permitted special uses, which we already have in our zoning ordinance. Many counties don't have that, where for example, a Class D CAFO is a permitted special use, which means it is automatically allowed if it meets the criteria set forth in the zoning ordinance. So many counties don't operate under like that, and the state is modeling this law somewhat after our own ordinance. So what we're doing right now is the way that the state would like to see other counties move ahead, and that's why they've crafted it this way. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. You're hearing some interesting issues about this at the state, that it is going to be a way for feedlots to be snuck in, but that's not necessarily the case. It's going to be up to every individual county to decide if they want to make that a permitted special use. And I don't believe that our county will do it. I think we'll just continue the way we always have done it, with the Class D being a permitted special use. If it's above a Class D, then you would come back through for the conditional use permit, so.
Scott, to follow on with that, though, we have other special permitted uses also.
Yes, there are many permitted special uses, so it's not just CAFOs,
For
there are
example,
many of
there's
them.
something with a cemetery or,
Cemeteries, provided they're 40 acres or larger, they're just a permitted use. I mean, or 20 acres, there's a threshold. So typically, like a permitted special use, it is the use provided you meet this criteria, and if you do, then it can be automatically granted, so.
I guess my only worry is that the state will make a decision of what a special permitted use is, and they could decide it's 40,000 animal units, and
They could. Right.
we don't want that to happen. And there's a provision in here where if someone sues to block it, that if they lose in court, then they have to pay the legal fees for the proponents. And certainly people are worried about that, but I know that people do anything to stop some of these projects litigating ridiculously. In Grant County, they announced a dairy, and immediately they went across the street from the location of the dairy and drilled a well, which would preclude having a dairy close to it, because you can't have a well that close. Well, it went to court, and the judge eventually ruled it wasn't a well, it was a hole. And I think it moved forward, but I was talking to Pete Sangstagard, who's a chicken laying dude, and he's been in court since last June on something in Turner County, and the judge still hasn't made a decision. And it's, you're trying to do a project, and it's held up, first of all, with hearings where, 300 people want to testify, and then it goes to court, and then it goes to more court, and then we got to go back because, well, if your county doesn't have that special permitted thing and they approve it under special permitted whatever, I mean, there's just a million ways they can go back and decide that you never passed your planning and zoning correctly in the beginning. And
But I just wanted to make you
Yeah.
aware that we are following this, and if you have any questions, you can call me directly, and I can fill you in. But I don't see it as necessarily a real game changer for us, so.
it'll be modified if it turns out badly.
Any other, I don't have any other old or new business.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to address where we are with Hartford? You and I were at that second meeting.
yes.
Do you know, can you?
That was the night after our last planning commission,
Yeah,
that's right.
okay.
Bonnie and I attended the meeting in Hartford, and I think it was on the 29th or 28th it was the Tuesday after our last planning commission meeting. There wasn't nearly as many residents at that meeting as the one that we had in October. There's probably 25, 30 maybe. The residents the people in attendance were, I would say, unanimously opposed to the request, so I will pass that on. I didn't see a lot of people that were necessarily in favor of the joint zoning, but my observation was that I believe the city of Hartford is going to proceed on with this. So they felt, and there's going to be some legal discussions with the city of Hartford. I think that they are misguided and I'm not an attorney, so that's why there'll be some more discussion about it. But I believe that they feel that they can just bring it back to the county commission for action. And my opinion is it will need to start over from the very beginning, and it will be back here. We'll start over completely from square one, and we'll start the process over again. So, because the county commission, in my opinion, denied the other request the last time, I think we need to start the process over. So, away we go. But Bonnie, what were your observations or thoughts?
Pretty much the same as you. The people were basically, I thought, opposed to it. They didn't really want it.
Yeah.
But the city people want to move forward from the table I sat at anyway. Just a real difference of opinion.
Yeah.
We didn't really establish anything one way or the other because of it.
No, they just provided general information. They are holding out the Del Rapids joint zoning ordinance as that's what it's going to look like. And I don't necessarily think that is going to be the case, but that's what they're telling the residents is, well, look, Del Rapids has it and it hasn't hurt them any. And it is what it is, but I don't think the residents the people that were the attendants at both meetings were not necessarily in favor of it. So it will ultimately come here, and then we'll take it to the county commission, and I think the county commission will have some tough questions for them, because I don't know, they'll have some tough questions for them.
Meanwhile, the development director for Hartford was appointed to be the Makita Lakita executive director.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Donna,